Well, my name's Margarita and I work for COTA Tasmania. Now, it's a not-for-profit organisation where all board members, staff and volunteers are passionate about advancing the rights, interests and futures of Tasmanians as we age. First, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia, their diversity, history and knowledge, and their continuing connection to land, water and community. We pay our respects to all Australian Indigenous people and their cultures, and to their elders, past, present and future, including their new and emerging leaders. I'd just like to thank Alison and Lynn for the opportunity to participate today. And I have been in one of Alison's, or a couple of Alison's programs, presenting to people in Bicheno, Swansea and Triabunna. So now I'm going to do the share screen. We're doing that. Going back to there. Right. I want to give you first a little bit of a background about the Aged Care Navigators trial, and that's the basis on which I'm able to actually present. COTA Australia was funded by the Australian Government to conduct a national pilot project which started in early 2019. It's called the Aged Care Navigators trial, which is looking at different ways of providing information about the government's subsidised aged care system and providing support to those who need help to navigate it. It's a complex system. So those people could be older people, their friends, family, and others who support them. Now we have a postcard that's available if anyone wants to access this, but what this postcard shows is the organisations involved in the trial here in Tasmania. It includes COTA Tasmania, and we've partnered with Working It Out to support members of the LGBTIQ community. The Migrant Resource Centre has also been funded to run community hubs for the various migrant communities here. I thought I'd introduce you to a few of our team. So we have our Information Hub team members. They include Alison, who's in Launceston, Heather in Burnie. Both Alison and Heather cover the trial areas of Greater Launceston, Northwest Coast and West Coast of Tasmania. I am located in Hobart and cover the Southern Tasmanian trial areas. And then we have Alexis. She's also located in Hobart and she's our statewide specialist support worker. And I have to tell you, we all work part-time. We are supported by a number of volunteers who are important contacts in their local communities. They share their valuable experience and link people to the activities of the trial. These activities include running local information sessions, and now we're learning how to do these online, providing resources, as well as one-on-one support, and that can be over the phone, by email, or face-to-face when we are able to visit people in their homes. Now, this is a little chart of the aged care system. Now, we are able to offer support in navigating the aged care system, which starts with learning about My Aged Care. It is the gateway to all Commonwealth subsidised aged care services. We help people to understand both the long and short-term programs within the system, which are there to help people remain at home and engaged in their community for as long as possible. So when we're looking at those, we're looking here, I'm just seeing if this works, yes it does, is the Commonwealth Home Support Program, and this is for people who need just a small amount of service. While home care packages, which a lot of people have heard a lot about, are for people with more complex needs requiring coordinated care. Short-term programs include residential respite to enable you to take a break, and your carer too, if you have one. Then there's restorative care, transition care. These are programs that are in place when you've had a setback, either experienced at home in the case of restorative care, or where you've had a hospitalisation, and there are goals that can be set to help you to get back on your feet and be able to manage at home. when for any number of reasons a higher level of care is needed than can be supported in your own home, there are the aged care homes. But where does it start? Well, as I say to everyone, it starts with you. If you are 65 years and older, or 50 years and over if you are of Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander origin. You must also have a current need for support. Now, some of the issues is that when you experience either a sudden change or perhaps more gradual changes in your circumstances which affect how you manage your daily life, you might think about seeking some support. Or if you're caring for an older person, you might want to find out if there is support available to help you both. Sometimes other people, maybe a family member or friend or someone you visit at the local health centre, they might give you a nudge with a suggestion to look into getting some aged care support. But really, it's up to you. You might just battle on, or you might be nervous about asking. I would encourage you to at least find out about it. The purpose of these services is to support your needs in ways that maintain or build on your strengths, abilities, and confidence. So when you're ready for that, that is when you will hear about My Aged Care. That's a little symbol for it. Everyone who wants a subsidised aged care support service must go through My Aged Care. It is the Australian Government's national online and telephone contact centre. The call centre staff there will answer any questions you have. There's no such thing as a silly question. If you've got anything you want to know, you can sort of ring and ask. The website has a lot of useful information. So if going online is something you are comfortable doing, then you might like to have a look for information about the types of services that are funded to keep you well, safe and engaged in your community so you can remain at home independently for as long as possible. A range of printed material is also available that can be posted to you. Here at COTA Tas, we've also developed some help sheets as well. So when you are ready, you need to register with My Aged Care. And if you are eligible, an assessment of your needs will then be organised by them. Once you are approved for services, whenever your needs change, then you or someone else, with your permission, must contact My Aged Care. My Aged Care is the key contact for what happens next. You may have a number of assessments over the years to change or increase what you need. And a tip from me, there can be quite a bit of paperwork that you will receive over time from My Aged Care and any service providers as part of your plan. So from the beginning, it's good to work out the best way for you to keep it in order. It can be less if you are able and want to view your records online by using your MyGov account to link to your My Aged Care records. Now, there are 3 ways to register with My Aged Care and apply for an assessment. 2 of them you can do yourself or with the support of someone you trust. And let's start with these. The first is to apply by making a phone call to My Aged Care. There's the free call number there. And for most people, it's available Monday to Friday, 8 AM to 8 PM, Saturday, 10 AM to 2 PM. Hopefully you've got good connection. Make this call only when you have enough time, roughly 20 to 30 minutes, and be prepared to let them know if you have any special needs. If you need an interpreter, ask for one. If you have a hearing, visual or speech impairment, let them know so they can tell you how you can be supported during the call. And the other thing is you need to be prepared to answer questions. Let's have a look at some of the questions that you'll be asked. The first will be to confirm your identity. So that includes your name, address, date of birth and phone number. Have your Medicare card on hand because you will be asked to read out your number. And if you can't read it easily, maybe write it out in print large enough for you to read when you're on that call. Then there are questions about your needs and circumstances. The reasons these questions are asked is it helps My Aged Care establish if you are eligible for a face-to-face assessment and which type of assessment is the best fit, because there is more than one. The questions you will be asked to cover include what has changed for you, any health concerns that affect what you are able to do, how you are managing day-to-day in the home and getting out and about, what supports you have at the moment. That could be from friends, family or other services, and if there are any changes that might be already occurred or are going to occur soon, as well as any safety concerns that you have. Now, you can have someone else alongside you while you make this call, and if you give them your permission, they can participate. It can be just for that call, or you can appoint someone you trust as your representative for as long as you want. This can be done on the phone while you are both together. They will need to answer identity questions too. Let's look at what things you need to check before ending the call. Because after you've spoken to them, they're going to give you a client record or a client identification number. It usually starts with an AC and then lots of other numbers after it. Have you been told that you are eligible for an assessment? And if you are, have you asked them to confirm what type of assessment? The regional assessment or the aged care assessment. The regional assessment is the assessment that's done for people who just need a small amount of services under the Commonwealth Home Support Program. All the other programs require an ACAP assessment. The other way that you can do it yourself is you can apply online. That's something new. And anyone who has not registered with My Aged Care, before can apply online if they are comfortable doing that. Another person can do it on your behalf. This option will only work provided that you've never registered before and are not receiving any subsidised aged support services. And if you're not sure about that, it might be worth calling My Aged Care first to see if you were already registered with them. When you go to the home page, and this is just a little clipping of that, you will see that there's a little drop down arrow next to the word assessment. So if you click on that, you'll be able to read about the assessment process, and then there's another link that will get you to the online application. In that online application, there are 3 parts. Part A checks your eligibility, which means answer questions and select descriptions that best fit your circumstances. Part B, if you get to Part B, sometimes some people will be told that they're not eligible at this point here based on their answers for an assessment. But if you are eligible, you go to Part B, complete your details, and your record is created. And then Part C is the arrangements for an assessment. There is one more way, and it's when you give permission to a health professional, such as a GP, to complete a referral on your behalf. They do all the paperwork and send it directly to My Aged Care. Sometime after that, you or your representative will get a call from My Aged Care to confirm what will happen next. If you do not get a call, then you need to call My Aged Care, maybe after 3 weeks. So before we take a break for any questions, I'm just letting you know that the trial is being independently evaluated. As you are watching this online, I would invite you to complete it. It takes no more than 5 minutes to complete the questions about your experience. You need to go to the link. Thank you. Your responses will help inform the future of supports for navigating aged care. And now, if there are any questions, just around that getting started, I'm happy to take them.
Margarita, it's Liz speaking.
Yeah.
And sorry if I missed this, I was frantically taking notes because this is all very new to me. The process where, at the point where you're applying, whether it be online or via phone, and you're assessed, and I believe there were two different assessments. One I think was RAS or something, which was for the low needs, and then everything else is ACAT. I'm familiar with ACAT. At what point does that decide? Does the system decide which one you're going to be assessed by? I'm just imagining someone going through the steps and they may not be sure what their level of care requirement is.
Well, I think it depends upon how they answer the questions as to which assessment service they'll be referred to.
Right.
However, if their needs at that assessment appear to be greater than what they indicated, then there can be a referral to the ACAT from there.
So there is that option for them.
Yes. Because everyone represents themselves so differently, and often won't answer certain things, and later they said, "Oh, I should have said that."
Yes. That was exactly my thinking.
And that's why the next part that I'm doing is about preparing for the assessment.
Yeah, okay.
To give some ideas around that.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I'll just mention, a commonly asked thing is that people say, well, can we plan ahead? Now, you won't get an assessment if you don't have a current need, but you can just register with My Aged Care over the phone, so that if there's an event later on where you need services, that's already been done. The registration, you've got your number, and maybe you've also appointed a representative, because in the event that something happens where you can't personally make those arrangements with My Aged Care, the representative can do it on your behalf. So someone can ring up and say, here are my details, this is the name of my representative, and even if the representative isn't present with them, it will be noted on the person's record, so that when the representative rings and gives their details and has their account set up, they'll be linked.
I'm not sure if this is the right time to ask this question, Margarita, but how long does it take to get an ACAT assessment?
It depends upon timing, and in each area it may be different. At sometimes, I would often just ring the aged care assessment team if I know I'm having an ACAT assessment, just to see. But sometimes within 2 to 3 weeks, like I've given that indication to ring My Aged Care back. If you haven't heard from the assessment service within, say, 3 weeks, give them a call, see what's going on. There are obviously times when there's higher demand than at others, but generally they're doing them, reasonably quickly.
Okay, that's
it
great.
Depends on where you are too. So, I can't give an exact answer to that.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Well, we can go on. How's the time going? I haven't got my clock. All right, so now I am actually going to talk about the assessment process. And I hope you've got time to run through this. So you've registered with My Aged Care, you've been told you're eligible for assessment, and they've told you which one. So during that call, My Aged Care will send the referral for assessment to your local regional assessment service if it seems like, based on the answers that you've given, that you only need a low level of support. And this support comes under the Commonwealth Home Support Program. If your needs for support at home seem to be more than what the Commonwealth Home Support Program covers, so now we are looking at home care packages, or if you need short-term programs such as residential respite, restorative and transition care, or access to an aged care home, then you will be offered what's called the ACAT, Aged Care Assessment Team assessment, and it's certainly a more comprehensive assessment. Okay. So you're going to be expecting a call within about 2 to 3 weeks, and if not, ring My Aged Care. So the assessment service is going to ring you up to make an appointment to visit you in your home. When you speak to them, they will ask you a few questions to ensure your safety as well as theirs. They will ask if you will have or might like to have someone with you, such as a family member or friend. Let them know if you have any special needs, for example, an interpreter. Some tips. As this call is important to you, make sure that messages can be left should you not be able to get to the phone. They only ring a certain number of times, and if they can't get through, then it's up to you to ring My Aged Care to say, I haven't heard from them. So I really recommend that if people haven't got a message service on their phone, that they think about appointing someone as a representative who can be contacted, so that you get to know that the assessment process is trying to be planned for you. When they ring, jot down their phone number and name of the person to speak to in case something unexpected comes up and you need to change the appointment. If you haven't received a call for the assessment service, again, within those few weeks, check with My Aged Care. It's a free call. So generally, what is the purpose of the home assessment? Well, it's to find out more about you and the nature of your needs for support. It's to look at how those needs might be met by doing things differently yourself, with the support of subsidised aged care services or from other organisations in your area. It's about developing a support plan with recommendations as well as approvals for any subsidised support services. And it's about letting you know how you can go about getting those services if and when they are available to you, and what you can do while waiting. So a few things about preparing for the assessment. You need to have a few things handy. The Medicare card is one of them. Contact details for your GP and any other health professionals involved in your health management. A health summary could be useful for that. And details of any other services that you currently use. Consider then what's important for you. The focus is to support your needs in ways that maintain or build on your strengths, abilities and confidence. You can help with that by thinking about what is important to you and maybe jot it down. You might like to think about what's important to you to manage everyday tasks at home, getting out and about in your community, feeling connected, and your interests, past ones that you might like to do again, the ones you're currently doing, or maybe there's something new you'd like to take up. What happens on the day of the assessment? Well, there's obviously the introductions. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about home assessments and what is common to both the regional assessment ones and the ACAT assessment ones. So on the day, when the assessor comes to your door, they will identify themselves first before coming into your home. When you are comfortable, they will also ask to check your Medicare card. The next step is a conversation to talk about your needs. The assessor will already have the information that was provided to My Aged Care when you first either rung up or completed the online application. You will be given the opportunity to talk about your health, lifestyle, and any concerns you may have. You will be asked how you are going with the day-to-day tasks and activities around the home, as well as interactions with family and getting out and about in your community. There are questions about your personal safety and if you have any problems with your memory. An active assessment might be done where you are asked to show the assessor around your home and how you do things. For example, getting in and out of the bed, managing the stairs or the bathroom. They might be able to offer some suggestions on other ways of doing things. You will be asked about what supports you are currently receiving and if there have been any changes to this. This can be support from friends, family or organisations. Now, with a fuller picture, the assessor may recommend services you are eligible to receive. If it's a regional assessment, service assessment, then they will actually let you know on the day as to whether you have the eligibility. Now, you can choose your provider if you're eligible for a service, and what choice looks like for you depends on where you live and what providers serve your area. It also depends upon availability. And this is for the Commonwealth Home Support Services. If you know of any particular service provider you would like, the assessor can send a referral directly to them. The other option is for the assessor to what they call broadcast your referral, and the service provider who accepts it will ring you to talk about what they can provide and their costs, because there are costs involved, but they are subsidised costs. They're lower than what you would normally pay. You don't actually have to accept it. Sometimes there may not be any availability. Your assessor will talk to you about that and what you can do. The other option is to look for a provider yourself. And if you are going to do this, you will need to tell the assessor so they can give you the code for each particular service that you may have been approved to receive. So this is the range of services that are available under the Commonwealth Home Support Program, or included, I should say, in the Commonwealth Home Support Program. It's not all of them, and they are not always offered, and they may be limited availability depending upon where you live. And, you know, we can go through the allied health. Transport is a common one that people are after. Domestic assistance, personal care, help with shopping, or food and nutrition, or cooking, nursing. So there's a wide range. Home maintenance and modifications, aids and equipment, and even specialist support for things like continence, hearing. So before the assessor leaves, it's good to think about checking a few things off. That you know what services have been approved, and I'm always saying subject to availability. You've asked for a copy of your support plan. Now, the support plan lists your goals and the recommended services and what's going to happen and what's happening with the referrals. So you ask for a copy of that to be sent by post or email, or if you're comfortable, you've got a MyGov account and you are going to link it to My Aged Care and get some help to know how to use it. And you also know who to contact if you have any other questions, or how you might contact that assessor. So I'm nearly at the end here. We invite anyone in the areas throughout Tasmania to get in contact with us, or Working It Out, or the Migrant Resource, wherever it's appropriate. On the back of that postcard, we've got our phone numbers, emails and website details. And if there's any questions, now's the time.